So, here's the real question. How do dentists like you, who aren't willing to let insurance dictate how you will run your practice, who want to create incredibly profitable practices without sacrificing your time or sanity, how do you create the strategies to ensure your practice not only survives, but thrives in the 21st century? That's the blaring question, and Dr. Steve Schalintz is here to provide the answers. Welcome to Dental Practice Freedom Radio.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dr. Steve Schalintz. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Dental Practice Freedom Radio. And today we are going to talk about simplification. I'm really been into it lately. My life has been a chaotic mess for the last couple of years. It feels like just a lot of moving pieces, a lot of great stuff happening, but also things can get complicated incredibly fast. And in today's day and age, that is not a good thing, despite what people think. I was talking to a colleague the other day, and it was funny. We were talking about downsizing and simplifying, and she was talking to me about as a dentist, and she was a specialist. She's an endodontist. She was talking about the things we do because we're expected to do them, from societal pressures or from outside forces at B. And she said, what I found was all of a sudden, I looked at my husband and asked, why are we doing the stuff we're doing? You know, we have 2 houses, we have this, we have that, we have this, we have that. And we're not even enjoying the things that matter. And it was so refreshing to hear. And we are talking about, you know, me going kind of through the same process at an earlier age, that if you're listening to this and you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed or burnt out, like, start to look at what you're doing on a daily basis and find ways to simplify everything you do. I've done it now in my business. I've explored different avenues and different ways to coach people, and I'm really getting back to the basics on that. And my business is growing faster than it's ever grown because I've gotten laser focused and simplified my offerings, what I do, how I do it, who I work with, how I work with them. Then even in where I'm at. So if I'm in an apartment right now, I looked and it was interesting. I was working, I've been working with a coach through a program. And I don't directly talk to this coach, but everything is done online. And I was like, this is the best freaking program I've ever been in. Like, it's unbelievable when it comes to like just prioritizing things and getting laser focused. And one of the things he mentioned, this is going to be a life hack. He was talking about screens, right? And he said, why do you need more than one computer? I was thinking about that because I was watching this program. I'm watching this online thing, and I'm thinking, okay, I have my iMac, I have my phone, I have my laptop, I have my iPad, and I have 4 screens in front of me. I have this big 27-inch screen, then I have this 13-inch screen, then I have an iPad that's 11 inches that I can write on with an Apple Pencil, and then I have my phone. And he said, you don't need all that. Like, simplify. He said, it's hard enough for you to remember where your files and all the stuff you're working on your business are on one computer, let alone 4. And you have the iCloud, and then you have Dropbox, and you have Google Drive, and you have this, and you have that, and you have this. And I thought about that comparison between when I was talking to my specialist, my colleague, the specialist, and personal friend, and then I was looking at this program and looking at my screens. I was thinking, these 2 things are actually identical. The more we simplify in our life, the easier and better our lives are, because then we can dedicate time to the things that don't matter. And when I work with clients and I hear this, it's like, I don't have enough time. Dentists, the number one complaint that I hear is, I don't have enough time. That's not true. You do have enough time. You're prioritizing wrong, and you probably overcomplicated every aspect of your life. So I've been ruthless, almost like a monk lately about this. And it's been because my life got too chaotic. It was just too chaotic. There was too much going on. I was trying to do everything. I was trying to be the entrepreneur and the dentist own the business, own the coaching business, merge them two together. And then if I dedicated more time to one, then I'd see the other suffer. Then I'd dedicate more time to the other one, and the other one would suffer. And then I'd have the personal life and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like this is chaos. And you lose track, and then you give up. You can't do that. You have to pick one aspect and say, how do I simplify this? Somebody, when I was on an interview the other day, it was asked, like, what's the non-negotiables for you? One is writing out my goals, doing my life script, visualizing, studying personal growth and development every day for 30 days, and being grateful, writing down my gratitudes. That is the morning thing that I do, the most important thing I do. And then try to work out. It's hard when I'm traveling. It is actually really hard to figure out, like, how do I get time in? But I walk a lot. When I do get back to my apartment here in Philly, there's a nature trail. I walk a lot, and it really helps me focus and think. But I've found that I've gotten more away from the Facebook and the screens and this and that. And it's easy to say that. And I know I get challenged on this sometimes because I still do it, but it's easy to say that. It's harder to do, but like, you have to do it. And what you find is, even when you go back to that stuff, you realize you don't even enjoy half the stuff you're doing. You're just doing it to do it because it's expected of you. So there's components that when you say, I don't have enough time, like, actually start to study, where does your time go and how distracted are you when you do activities? It's been the number one thing for me is when I'm engaged in an activity now with my business, and I know it's crazy, but like I'm looking at my setup right now. Before, it was a cluttered mess on my desk. I said, how can I work in an environment like this? Like, personally, how am I feeling when I work in an environment? It's not that I can't get my work done, but like, how long does it take? How distracted am I as I do it? How do I feel about the work I'm doing? When you get all that stuff around you, you get conflicted. You get confused, you get distracted, and you're not as happy when you're doing the work, so obviously it takes longer. So I just stripped everything down. I threw the laptop, I literally took my iMac off the desk, put it in a closet, closed the closet. Took the iPad. I don't even know where my iPad is right now. Some guy might have it. I don't know. Oh, there it is. It's in the corner. It's tucked away. I'm like, I don't need that. I hooked my mouse up to my laptop, and I stripped everything off my desk and said, from now on, the only thing that I'm using to record everything is my MacBook Pro. That's it. My notes, all of it. It's going here. It gets stored in a remote Google Drive, and that's where it's going to be. And that's how I'm focusing from now on. And I will tell you, that alone has increased my productivity in my business by probably 200%. That simple thing. And the reason I bring this up is there's so many things everywhere in your life that you could do the same exact process. Look at your finances. How do I track my finances? Who's doing my finances? How do I do this? Right? Who's doing my books? How do they do the books? How do I track my bills? Who's ordering my groceries? Do I go and take time to do my own groceries, or can I have somebody do that for a fraction of the cost? Like, think about every area in your life you can systematize and clean up. And I will tell you, you will feel so much better. If you only did that one thing, you start to look at every aspect of my business, my life. How do I clean this up? And take one step at a time. Don't get overwhelmed by how much stuff you have to do. Just literally pick one aspect of one area and work on that. Clean that up, move on to the next one. Within 6 months, your life will look totally different. You'll have so much free time. You're like, well, what did I do with all my time? That's what I found. Like, I go and check stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do with all this time now, right? So I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to analyze every aspect of your life. If you feel overwhelmed, start with the things you can control first. That's the only stuff you can focus on. Focus on the things you can control. Take one thing at a time. Start to break it down. See what you're doing. See what you ideally would like to do, and start to move in that direction. And you'll be amazed at how much changes in your life. So hopefully you got value out of this. And thank you guys so much for listening. As always, there's free training at the bottom of the description on this podcast. Reviews and ratings are greatly appreciated. I would really love, I know sometimes it's hard to take the time to do that, but it really does help me. So I'd appreciate that if you do get value out of this podcast. And with that being said, I'll see you at the next episode.
Thank Thank you so much for listening to this episode on Dental Practice Freedom Radio with Dr. Steve Schlitz. We'll see you on the next episode.